The Best Christmas Pageant Ever. This is Chapter 2, Part 2. Of course, nobody even thought about the Herdmans in connection with the Christmas pageant. Most of us spent all week in school being pounded and poked and pushed around by the Herdmans, and we look forward to Sunday as a real day of rest. Once a month, the whole Sunday school would go to church for the first 15 minutes of the service and do something special, sing a song or act out a parable or recite Bible verses. Usually the little kids sang Jesus Loves Me, which was all they were up to. But when my brother Charlie was with the little kids, his teacher brought up something different to do. She had everybody write down on a piece of paper what they liked best about Sunday school or draw a picture of what they liked best. And when we all got in the church, she stood up in front of the congregation and said, "Today, some of our youngest boys and girls are going to tell you what Sunday school means to them. Betsy, what do you have on your paper?" Betsy Cathert stood up and said, "What I like best about Sunday school is the good feeling I get when I go there." I don't think she wrote that down at all, but it sounded terrific, of course. One kid said she liked hearing all the Bible stories. Another kid said, "I like learning songs about Jesus." 8 or 9 little kids stood up and said what they liked, and it was always something good about Jesus or God or cheerful friends or the nice teacher. And finally, the teacher said, "I think we have time for one more. Charlie, what can you tell us about Sunday school?" My little brother Charlie stood up, and he didn't even have to look at his piece of paper. "What I like best about Sunday school," he said, "is that there aren't any Herdmans here." Well, the teacher should have just stuck with Jesus Loves Me, because everybody forgot all the nice churchy things the other kids had said and remembered what Charlie said about the Herdmans. When we went to pick him up after church, his teacher told us, "I'm sure there are many things that Charlie likes about Sunday school. Maybe he'll tell you what some of them are." She smiled at all of us, but you could tell she was really mad. On the way home, I asked Charlie, "What are some of the other things you like that she was talking about?" He shrugged. "I like all the other stuff, but she said to write down what we like best, and that what I like best is no Herdmans." "Not a very Christian sentiment," my father said. "Maybe not, but it's a very practical one," Mother told him. Last year, Charlie had spent the whole second grade being black and blue because he had to sit next to Leroy Herdman. In the end, it was Charlie's fault that the Herdmans showed up in church. For 3 days in a row, Leroy Herdman stole the dessert from Charlie's lunchbox, and finally Charlie just gave up trying to do anything about it. "Oh, go on and take it," he said. "I don't care. I'll get all the dessert I want in Sunday school." Leroy wanted to know more about that. "What kind of dessert?" he said. "Chocolate cake," Charlie told him. "And candy bars and cookies and Kool-Aid. We get refreshments all the time, all we want." "Leroy, you're a liar." "You're a liar," Leroy said. Leroy was right. We got jelly beans at Easter and punch and cookies on Children's Day. And that was it. "We get ice cream too," Charlie went on. "And donuts and popcorn balls." "Who gives it to you?" Leroy wanted to know. "The minister," Charlie said. He didn't know who else to say. Of course, that was the wrong thing to tell the Herdmans if you wanted them to stay away. And sure enough, the very next Sunday, there they were, slouching into Sunday school, eyes peeled for the refreshments. "Where'd you get the cake?" Ralph asked the Sunday school superintendent. And Mr. Grady said, "Well, son, I don't know about any cake, but they're collecting the food packages out in the kitchen." What he meant was the canned stuff we brought in every year as a Thanksgiving present for the orphans' home. It was just our bad luck that the Herdmans picked that Sunday to come, because when they saw the cans of spaghetti and beans and grape drink and peanut butter, they figured there might be some truth to what Charlie said about refreshments. So they stayed. They didn't sing any hymns or say any prayers, but they did make a little money, because I saw Imogene snake a handful of coins out of the collection basket when it went past her. At the end of the morning, Mr. Grady came to every class and made an announcement. "We'll be starting rehearsals soon for our Christmas pageant," he said. "And next week after the service, we'll all gather in the back of the church to decide who will play the main roles. But of course, we want every boy and girl in our Sunday school to take part in the pageant. So be sure your parents know that you'll be staying a little later next Sunday." Mr. Grady made this same speech every year, so he didn't get any wild applause. Besides, as I said, we all knew what part we were going to play anyway. Alice Wendlekin must have been a little bit worried, though, because she turned around to me with this sticky smile on her face and said, "I hope you're going to be in the angel choir again. You're so good in the angel choir." And what she meant was, I hope you don't get to be married just because your mother's running the pageant. She didn't have to worry. I didn't want to be Mary. I didn't want to be in the angel choir either, but everybody had to be something. All of a sudden, Imogene Herdman dug me in the ribs with her elbow. She has the sharpest elbows of anybody I ever knew. What's the pageant? She said. It's a play, I said. And for the first time that day, except for when she saw the collection basket, Imogene looked interested. All the Herdmans are big moviegoers, though they never pay their own way. One or two of them start a fight at the box office of the theater while the others slip in. They get their popcorn the same way, and then they spread out all over the place so the manager can never find them all before the picture's over. What's the play about? Imogene asked. It's about Jesus, I said. Everything here is, she muttered. So I figured Imogene didn't care much about the Christmas pageant, but I was wrong.